it's amazing. But bobcats do know that they're being chased, and they have enough stamina in them to outrun and outsmart dogs. I've watched bobcats on the side of the hill. They'll lay down a big old maze. They will sit on their ass, flicker their little tail, and they're literally looking back at the dogs, going, come on. And they watch that dog work and work and work until it knows that it's got one trick left. And that bobcat will look forward, and he'll go lay down a bunch of tricks. He'll jump over a tree, jump back in his track, jump over here, and he'll sit on his ass and start bobbing his tail again.
These are stories of outdoor adventure and expert advice from folks with calloused hands. I'm James Nash, and this is the Six Ranch Podcast. The Six Ranch Podcast is brought to you by SIG Sauer. SIG is a leading provider and manufacturer of firearms, electro-optics, ammunition, air guns, and suppressors. For over 250 years, SIG Sauer Inc. has evolved and thrived by blending American ingenuity, German engineering, and Swiss precision. Today, SIG Sauer is synonymous with industry-leading quality and innovation, which has made it the brand of choice amongst the U.S. military, the global defense community, law enforcement, competitive shooters, hunters, and responsible citizens. SIG Sauer is also a premier provider of elite firearms instruction and tactical training at the SIG Sauer Academy located in New Hampshire. For more information about SIG Sauer and its complete line of products, visit sigsauer.com.
So, how do you go about naming a dog?
Oh, man, that's a tough one.
I feel like everybody has a different approach to that, right?
I agree, yeah. I got a buddy that does something crazy I can get into.
Everybody definitely has their own inspiration to what to why they name a dog. I've got multiple dogs that I've named after people. My buddy's grandma was one of the toughest ladies that I ever met in my life, and on her dying bed, I told her I would name one of the best hounds I ever had after her, and the first red cow I ever bought. And so I got this pup. I named her Marlene, and she's, honest to God, a 1 in a million. Like, the fact that she turned out the way she did is just unbelievable. I mean, I don't know if it has anything to do with that.
That's awesome.
So my female dogs I've named after, like, strong women. So I've got Marlene and Viola, which my buddy's grandma, my grandma.
Those are great names.
So they're kind of old school. I guess my latest pup I got from New Mexico. It crossed I think by the time it got to me, I was in 7 different people's hands. Honest to God, I knew the guy I bought it from. Didn't know one of the other people.
Wow.
Took almost 3 weeks to get from me from New Mexico to Montana. Touched like 7 different people's hands. And the second he walked in, I was like, you know what? This dog's name's Trip. You know, we made a hell of a trip, and we're going to have a hell of a trip ahead of us. So
that's a name you can really yell, too.
Yeah,
If Trip ends up to be a dog that needs to be yelled at from time to time, you can really holler Trip.
Yeah, and he's got these big old long ears on him. So, like, when he drinks, they sit in the water. He can damn near trip over his ears. So that part of it's pretty cool, too.
How old is he now?
He is about 9 months now.
Okay.
And he's really kicking ass for me. So
cool.
It's pretty cool to watch. I don't know. I mean, hound hunting is one of those deals to where when you go with the houndsman, you're going to think that guy's nuts. When I started pursuing mountain lions, I went just because I wanted to harvest one. And it took me 3 years, and I bet you we went over probably 150 cats. And we were going 7 days a week, midnight to sometimes dark. We'd go back, we'd sleep 3 hours, and we'd be right back at it the next day. And it drove me because I wanted to harvest one. The guy that I was with told me, he said, shit, I haven't killed a lion over my dogs in 20-some years. And I'm thinking, man, we are beating the heck out of your nice Toyota pickup, putting thousands of miles. we're walking hundreds of miles after these dogs in the most extreme conditions, and you have no desire to kill one of these things? And he was like, no, I just do it for my dogs. And I thought, man, this guy's nuts. But the second I got a dog, I mean, it's a total game changer. I've never personally killed a mountain lion over my own dogs. So now I get that. I would much rather see a cat in a tree, take pictures of it, and come back the next day. Lions are definitely a pretty badass creature, and I find them to be pretty sacred, I guess. And pursuing them is definitely, it's just insane. It's fun.
Yeah.
Addicting. Anybody out there listening that's against hound hunting, feel free to look me up at jherak3232, and I will gladly take you out free of charge and show you what it's all about.
For sure. It's awesome.
And that's the truth. There's such a misconception that running a lion with dogs is easy. Like the lion doesn't have a chance. I don't know if I've ever been closer to like just laying down in the snow and letting the night have me. Then, you just run it to the max sometimes. And some of those cats that have figured out how to get away from dogs a little bit, and your dogs are having a tough night and the snow conditions aren't right, boy, it can be tough.
The one thing that I've always tried to, I started out in this long before Mountain Men. I just grew up a small town nobody. I mean, I went to Class C high school, played 8-man football, and when I got into hound hunting, I reached out to different companies and I asked, why don't you represent houndsmen? And they always said, well, it's not fair chase hunting. And I said, so you're telling me you don't support hunting? And they said, no, we just don't support fair chase hunting. And the fact of the matter is, we do it legally. We buy tags. We're running, everything's legal that we're doing, but I still have a hard time having these outdoor hunting companies support it, which is definitely frustrating for sure.
Like they don't want to support it. They don't think it's legit.
They don't believe that it's fair chase because we're using dogs to pursue them. And I can tell any hunter out there, hound hunting is definitely hands down the toughest hunting you will do. And if you don't believe me, jump in my truck for 10 days straight and I will change your mind. Because I don't care how big that bull is or how big that buck is. When you're tired, you go home. When I'm tired, I go get my dogs.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if I hike 20 miles and I am 3 feet from that dog. If that cat jumps, you can kiss him goodbye. I mean, you don't get to go, come on back, Trip Marlene. It doesn't work like that. I mean, a lot of people like to have, they're like, I want a hound as a pet. They're a beautiful animal, and they're really adorable. Women fall in love with them, kids. They got big ears. But hounds are born and bred to track. It's what they do, period, the end. So it's really hard to contain that type of animal to where no matter what it's going to do, no matter what the scent is, it's going to put its nose down and it's going to take off. So I kind of discourage people in the cities because, I mean, I used to live in a little town even, and I was always scared that maybe my dog might escape the kennel. And when these dogs are tracking, that's what they're doing. They're not looking up to see if a car is coming,
right,
or if a bear or anything's out there. They're doing one thing and one thing only, and they're tracking that animal. And so it's hounds can definitely be a pet, but it's definitely one that's harder when you're in a rural area for sure.
And I feel like when they don't work and they don't get to use those skills, dude, they get frustrated, they get depressed, and they can get aggressive. Yeah, they need to have that outlet for sure.
Just like a border collie, people get border collies and put them in an apartment or keep them in town, and they get neurotic. Like, that's a dog that needs to herd animals. They need it a lot.
And those will be the people that will say that it's animal cruelty that we're using the dogs to hunt. They act like the dogs don't want to do that, and we make the dogs do that. And realistically, the dog don't want to sit in that damn apartment all day.
Absolutely. And then even the folks that let their dogs get severely obese, and it causes hip problems and all that. But hounds they're born to hunt. They're not good pets, and it's cruel to keep them from that. It just really is.
Yeah, and another thing is like a lot of people have a misconception about running mountain lions. So when I turn my dogs loose on a track, my dog may track that cat for up to 20 miles, but he's running that cat for less than 1,000 yards, and that's a fact.
Right.
Like these mountain lions, they have big bodies, small lungs. So they can outrun that dog in a short burst, but not more than 100 to 200 yards. So the second that cat realizes that the dogs are on him, he'll get up and he'll start to move. But literally from where they're bedded to where I put them in a tree is always less than 500 yards.
Yeah,
interesting.
When they're jumped, they go up in a hurry.
Yep, they really do.
Yeah.
Bobcats will run for a ways.
Oh yeah.
Bobcats are a totally different story.
They'll play games with the dogs. They'll run back to the dogs and just run right beside. I've literally watched bobcats run 50 yards from the dogs, and the dogs are just running here and don't even see the cat running here. It just,
and that's one of the coolest parts about being on Mountain Men. Some of the work of it gets edited out, but there's times where you actually get to see that hound work. And when you're running a bobcat, 9 times out of 10, that's when it's going to happen. A bobcat may cover a lot of distance, but he's never going to go more than 1 or 2 ridges. All they're doing is, in my area, they're just running around chasing rabbits. Rabbits go from bush to bush, tree to tree. You'll see a dog go around a tree 8 times. Then he'll go over to the next tree, go around it. He'll go right back to the same tree. And whoever's with me is like, dude, your dog's messed up. And I'm like, give him 10 minutes. I guarantee we're going to have a cat in a tree. And the next thing you know, boom, cat in the tree. They're just, it's amazing. But bobcats do know that they're being chased, and they have enough stamina in them to outrun and outsmart dogs. I've watched bobcats on the side of the hill. They'll lay down a big old maze. They will sit on their ass, flicker their little tail, and they're literally looking back at the dogs, going, come on. And they watch that dog work and work and work until it knows that it's got one trick left. And that bobcat will look forward, and he'll go lay down a bunch of tricks. He'll jump over a tree, jump back in his track, jump over here, and he'll sit on his ass and start bobbing his tail again.
Walk logs, do all kinds of crazy stuff. Best thing, and maybe not in your country, but in my opinion, the best thing you can do to catch bobcats, one dog. One good, quiet mouth, closed mouth dog.
See, and that's always what I was trained, but Marlene is the one exception. She's so damn fast. She's the loudest dog you'll ever hear. I mean, most guys, when I turn her loose,
she just chops everywhere she goes.
They would look at me and laugh. I mean, they really would. They'd be like, no way. And I'm like, oh, yeah, trust me, this will be done in less than 10 minutes. She's so damn fast that, like, even when she's trailing, the other dogs lift up their head and are just trying to keep up with her. And she's running the track, So it's pretty crazy how each individual dog is different.
Absolutely.
They all have their strengths. They all have their weaknesses. As a pack, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And when you're packed up, there's no stopping you. That's for sure. That's with anything in the world. You can go out and build a home by yourself in a year, or you can invite 10 buddies over and have it done in a couple months. I mean, I think packing up is definitely something that makes people and animals survive.
Yeah.
Do you think that Marlene, see, I had a good dog once, a lot like you're talking. Do you think she's kind of a sight dog? She actually is intelligent enough. She's watching the track.
I think she definitely watches the track. And the other thing that I notice about her is I think she thinks like I do. And I'm one of those guys that, like, I might not be the most gifted, and I'm never going to, pick up a pistol and beat James Nash at a thing. But I can tell you what, when he beats my ass today, I will go home tomorrow and I will work and work and work. And the next time I'll make sure that he's got at least, competition.
Some competition.
And
Yes,
with
sir.
Marlene, it's like she knows them other dogs are there, and she's got to show them. I mean, it's
She's competitive.
Yeah, it's crazy to see the competitiveness in her.
And that makes really good dogs.
It really does.
Especially when we're talking on bobcats. If they're not really, a good bobcat dog, in my opinion, is not really loyal to the other dogs as much, because the dog will get sidetracked and it's baying over here, doing this or doing that. Maybe you got a dog that's bad about false treeing or something, and she's like, "Are you kidding me? The track's over there. I'm going this way."
Yeah,
on the go.
I grew up with hounds, and we ran bobcats and lions when I was a little kid, and of course Oregon shut that down fairly early on, at least for lions and bears. I was never really part of the bear races very much. I wish I was. I saw a couple of them, and I thought it was awesome. And it's in big canyon country without a lot of trees, so you could get down in the bottom and you could watch it happen.
Actually,
it was pretty neat. And I remember one time these dogs were strung out behind this bear about 50 yards back, and they weren't super interested in getting in there and getting after him, and he was just staying up ahead of him. But there was another bear that sat down on a rim and watched the whole parade go right in front of him. And he just sat there like he was watching television.
There they go.
Yeah.
Glad it's you and not me today, buddy.
Sure, it's hot to be running. But I've got 2 labs right now, and my female, black female, she is incredible. She retrieved her 1,000th duck when she was 3. She had it from the very beginning, an absolutely amazing duck dog. She's never worn a shock collar. She's about deaf now. She won't let me pet her when we're hunting. Everything's on a hand signal in her whole life, and she's just there to do whatever the job is. Her son is named Colonel Mustard. Colonel Mustard's a yellow male. And the only way he's ever going to retrieve a duck is if he steals it from another dog. And I couldn't get him to fetch anything for the longest time. And last summer, I was eating corn on the cob, and I was out in my yard, and I was like, I'm just going to throw this thing down on the hillside, and deer can chew on it or whatever. And so I threw it as far as I could. And I'll be damned if Colonel Mustard didn't retrieve an eaten ear of corn. I was like, this is the first thing he's ever retrieved in his life. It's like a 4-year-old dog now. This is so embarrassing. They just do the most ridiculous things. It's so funny. But once they figure their thing out that they're good at, if you can stoke that fire a little bit, they get a lot better at it really quickly.
Yep, that is definitely, repetition is the biggest thing when making a dog. Getting them out there and putting them on it. And if they fail, you got to be willing to walk. That's one thing that I've always found. I've never left a dog on the mountain ever, and I never plan on doing it. As long as I'm able to walk, I will go get my dog.
You've never had to leave your jacket out on the ground or anything
Never.
like that?
I've had to, I've recovered other people's dogs because of that, but I've always felt like if I'm the one who put them in that track, in that position, I'll be damn sure that I'm bringing them home that night. And I think my dogs respect me for that. I mean, I could leave them at a tree. I could turn them loose at daylight and come back the next morning, and they'd be right there treeing. Mm-hmm. I mean, they know that I'm coming to get them.
So there's a lot of terminology within hound hunting for cats that people may not understand. So if you say treeing, I'm sure there's folks listening that don't know what that means. They don't know what chop or bay or any of that is. So talk us through some of the words.
Okay, so what I do is I start out in the morning. Actually, I start out in the complete dark. At 12 o'clock at night, I take off with my all my lights on. I kick into a mountain road, and I'm just driving. I'm literally driving hours upon hours. This year, I ran 62 days straight, including Christmas, and I've done that since I've owned hounds past 8 years. I pick one family member a year, and they get to do the Christmas hunt with me. But it's a 7-day-a-week commitment if you want good dogs. That's for sure. So I'll go out, I'll find a track, which is a mountain lion track in the snow that I can visually see. I'll turn my dogs loose on that track, and they will follow that track all the way until they freshen it up, and they chase that cat and put it in a tree. And then them dogs will actually sit, and they'll point up to the top of the tree, and that's what we call treeing. And those dogs will just sit there and bark and bark and bark. And a lot of people might think that that's harassment on a cat, but I can tell you when you have, I've seen as many as 12 to 13 dogs underneath a tree with a lion 15 feet up, sound asleep.
They couldn't be more relaxed.
Yeah.
Could not be more relaxed.
Paws relaxed, paws crossed on the limb, tail barely switching back and forth. You can see their eyes closed.
Some of the big toms almost look entertained.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
just like, look at you guys.
I mean, if people out there don't realize that wolves do the same thing to these mountain lions, we are getting overran here in southwest Montana, the northern part of Montana. We're getting overran by wolves, and what's happening is these lions are going in, they're making a kill, and then these pack of wolves come in and they chase that lion off a kill. That's no different than my hounds coming in when that's on a kill. That cat's going to go up a tree and he's going to sit there, and those wolves have trained them. You know, it's just another day in the eyes of a cat. You know, instead of wolves, it's a pack of hounds. It's no different to them. The problem we're having is the wolves come in, they kill, they eat whatever bit they want, they leave. A mountain lion is a very clean eater. He'll come in, he'll make a kill, he'll eat what he can, he'll bury it. He'll literally bury this thing and make pretty much seal it off from all the elements and mainly visually from the birds above so that the other animals and predators don't pick up on it. So then he'll go up and he'll sleep usually within 500 yards of that kill, and he'll just keep returning to it every day until that deer or elk is actually completely gone. And so lions are definitely very resourceful to where when you get deer and, when you get wolves and bears, they're a lot more of what I would consider to be barbaric killers. I mean, they kill, they eat what they can, they move on.
Yeah.
Gorge themselves and ride.
Yep.
So you're running dogs in country that's got wolves, black bears, grizzly bears. That's a real challenge. And these grizzlies are out in the winter.
That's the biggest thing. In the state of Montana, we're not allowed to pursue bears. Our season is December 1st to April 14th. Anybody who knows bears knows that bears are going to start coming out late March, usually when the weather starts to warm up. And
about now.
Yep, the snow starts to recede. But what most people don't realize is bears can wake up at any point in the winter, and bears do not have to hibernate. Last year was a good example of that. I had 3 different black bears. One was black in color, one was red, one was blonde. So it was definitely 3 different bears that I kept bumping into randomly. I would turn loose on a lion. The next thing I know, my dogs are just going nuts, and they're pointing instead of treeing, which always tells me that it's on the ground. The second that they're not looking up in a tree, it's on the ground, and that's a bad situation to be in, especially if it's a cat. Cats definitely cause a lot of damage in a short amount of time.
I bet.
And they slice and they cut so clean that even when you get to the dog, for instance, I had one get into a cave. I had 3 dogs get into a cave, and I pulled the dogs out of the cave. Me and my buddy had to climb in, one way out. I mean, barely could get my shoulders through this thing. I'm climbing into this cave with 3 dogs, baying face to face with the mountain lion. The only exit is about 4 inches above my shoulders because I'm plugging the whole hole, and I'm pulling the hounds out of the hole, handing them to my buddy. Well, there's only one exit. It's over top of me, and I just took the only thing between me and that cat. And by the time I pulled my dogs out, I looked at them, and my one dog, Lefty, I thought maybe needed a stitch. He had one little open gash that was about probably 2.5 inches long and maybe about a 1/2 inch wide. And I thought, man, that's a little big. I should probably take him into the vet and get him stitched. I bring him into the vet. They put him under anesthesia, and they shaved the one cut, and it went from a 2.5 inch long, 1/2 inch wide to it damn near peeled open the size of my hand. And when he shaved, there was another one, and he kind of looks at me and he was like, well, how was your other dog? And I said, honestly, I thought there was 1 stitch on this dog. We ended up putting 87 stitches into Lefty, 3 different drain tubes. And the dog that I didn't even realize, Henry, had a scratch on him, I went and got him out of the truck, brought him in, and he ended up getting 57 stitches.
Wow.
I heard those cat claws are real gross. A lot of bacteria.
So with a cat, just like a house cat, if you have a house cat walk across your lap, their paws are not grabbing you. If you go to push that cat off your lap, he's going to pull his claws out and actually dig into you and grab. So what's happening is these cats go out there, they kill all this stuff. They're eating on it. They got bacteria. They retract their claws into their paw.
Festers.
And it's literally cutting off oxygen. It's creating bacteria. I mean, once you cut off oxygen and bacteria to stuff, it's definitely going to start causing all sorts of stuff when you get scratches from it. So cats are definitely one to watch out for. If you get scratched, you definitely need to clean that fast.
Yep.
And good.
And it can get really serious. I got scratched by a house cat when I was living in Norway when I was in high school. Just a little tiny scratch on my thumb. I still got the scar from it. And I ended up in the hospital. My whole arm turned black that night.
No kidding.
And this damn house cat, we fed him.
Yeah, that's the crazy stuff for a living. that is the craziest.
Sends me to the hospital.
Yeah, that is the craziest part. Is even though I got my dog to the vet, I've got him all the proper care that he needed. The problem is the next 5 to 14 days is where the real major problems could happen. Like you said, you got a little scratch. It was just a little scratch. Next thing you know, your arm's turning green and you got a bad infection. So you need to make sure that you get that very clean, keep it clean, and keep them on antibiotics big time.
Yeah.
That's definitely something you got to take care of.
Now, Mike, your dogs are doing a little bit different task.
Yeah, a little bit different.
You've got dogs that are getting pythons and iguanas for you.
Yeah. It's definitely been cool to see, especially with my dog Moose. He's just a hog dog, just a cur dog, and he's kind of always been by my side ever since he's been a little puppy. I rescued him from underneath a housing foundation he was all stuck in, and he's kind of been like my right-hand man, and he seems to kind of hunt for me and not for himself, and I think that's why he's kind of turned on with the pythons, because I never really train him specifically to track down or hunt pythons or anything like that. He's always been around them. He'd go hunting with me, but as a state contractor, as a part of my contract, if I'm hunting for them, the state, I can't use a dog. So he just kind of always rode with me and would watch me get out the truck, get sprayed with python poop and musk, and put it in a bag. So, he sees what I'm doing. He smells it. And I'd always, have them at the house, taking them out, euthanizing them. And one day out in the Everglades, just wasn't catching anything. I had Moose with me. I was like, fuck it, let's see what he does. And dude, it's like it's like a switch flipped in him. Like when he's on hogs, I turn him loose, dude. He don't walk the whole time. He's just blazing through, like nonstop, running around.
Through the
full
swamps
board,
and sawgrass and everything.
For sure. Yeah, and he's just hammering hogs. He's like a wild animal.
Yeah.
Soon as I get him on those islands, I don't know if I guess he must smell the snakes out there or something, dude. He's like just slow, just creeping, slow. And then, I'm like, damn, he looks like he's kind of sniffing and hunting and doing what I want him to do. Before this, I was actually training 2 Brittany Spaniels to be python dogs, and I just couldn't get them to hunt snakes for me. I couldn't get them. They would just step on the snakes in the bags and just wouldn't. I don't know. And I'm seeing him hunt different, and I'm like, damn, we might be on something. Start checking more and more islands, and dude, eventually he just gets to like this thick area and just freezes, and he's just pointing. Fucking cur dog pointing.
Cur dog pointing.
Pointing. I have it like all on video. It's unreal.
I would be too, Mike. It'd be like, over there, Mike. It's over there. Go catch that snake. But I'm not getting any closer, Dad.
Yeah, well, that's him, dude.
It's over that way. I can smell that damn thing.
It was wild, man. He's pointing, and I'm like, what's he fucking pointing at? Like, what are you doing? And then he like takes off real quick and then starts pointing again. And then I see there's a python like in the vegetation. I'm like, I'm filming the whole thing, losing my mind. Like, super proud of my dog, thinking like, damn, like, are we getting lucky here? Catching the snake, he's like kind of going for it. It's super exciting. For me, I love working with the dog, so it's like now I get the excitement of catching the snakes with using the dogs. Dude, that's what it's all about for me. And that day, he ended up catching 2 for me. He caught another one after that. And I've taken him 2 times since then, and he's caught a python every time I've taken him out. So definitely we're on something, man. And now it's just like he has it. Now it's just me kind of cleaning up, because when we find it, he don't know what the fuck to do. He's like confused, he don't really know. So I'm kind of trying to get him used to that, and I just need him to sit there, really.
Yeah.
I don't need him to be close.
They got to stink. I mean, I'm sure your dog can smell those things and smell everywhere they've been. And
for sure. They definitely have a smell to them, and I can only imagine what he smells on them, because they're rubbing their scent gland and ass everywhere they go, you know what I mean? So they're definitely leaving a good scent trail, and especially this time of year with mating season, dude, they cover themselves in pheromones, and like that's a big deal for them. So they're putting out a lot of different scents out there.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then Otto working the iguanas with me. Allie.
How do you come up with these names? Like how does a dog end up getting named Moose in Florida?
I don't know, man. He was the runt of the litter too, so it was just kind of weird. I named him Moose, and he's a big old dog. He kind of fit his name, got a big old head. But I don't know how I came up with Moose. Usually the dogs, they earn their name. You know what I mean? Yeah. I wait a while to name them. It'll fit their personality. Otto, Allie named Otto. I never really liked that name, but it's grown on me. Full auto, automatic. So, but he's been the most fun to watch and work with. Dude, he's a blast. Killer. Yeah, he just wants to kill shit. Yeah, and it's a lot of fun to be with him, because he's still a puppy. He's goofy. Always doing crazy stuff that's kind of funny, and clients love it.
And you're guiding these iguana hunts, and I've seen some of these videos where you're trying to get your client to shoot the iguana, and Otto's like,
"Oh, dude, and
you do it, or I'm going to do it."
For sure,
he's ready
for sure. And then on usually the first few retrieves, if he's going on a water retrieve, he's giving it full bore, and he's not moving as fast as he thinks he should. So he starts, yelping and freaking the hell out. He's like, dude, everything he can. And when he gets up there, that iguana better look out, dude. He's grabbing, and he's going to put it through spin cycle for sure. Eggs flying, all kinds of stuff.
The iguana situation down there is nuts. I mean, the entire invasive species situation is nuts, but like these big lizards freak me out. Like previously, I was very concerned about coming to visit you because I know you're going to make me catch a snake.
Oh yeah.
But now you're telling me about these giant lizards that you're like feeding pigs to. Like there's
piglets, but yeah,
a piglet is still a pig
for sure.
That's next level.
It is. It's for me. It's a dream come true. I mean, it's negative. Of course, I don't want it to be so. But dude, if you told me as a kid that I could go out and catch a Nile monitor or a damn 18-foot python in my backyard, I'd be the happiest kid alive.
Is a Nile monitor supposed to be from the Nile River?
Yeah, so they're from Africa. Okay. Yep, the Burmese python is over from Southeast Asia, Burma, yeah. And then the white throat monitor is also Africa, which I've also captured in Florida. And then I've also captured a North African rock python in Florida in a neighborhood with kids playing basketball 50 yards away, which I'm never one that's like, oh, hide your kids from these snakes. They're going to kill them, because they're probably not. But, dude, when I caught that, it was a 13-foot, 60-pound North African rock python. That thing fought so hard and was insanely strong, but fought so hard with me, actually prolapsed its anus out. Like, this thing was fighting harder than anything I've ever really fought with. And I got within 10 feet of it, and it just starts striking and coming right at me. And that's what they're known for. They're super, super aggressive. If one of those kids, that basketball rolled past that snake, they wouldn't have seen it. I mean, it blends right in. I'm sitting out there using binoculars looking for this thing for 2 days to find it. And, dude, it would have definitely grabbed one of those kids, and they wouldn't stand a fucking chance.
So that thing is going to bite onto its prey, and then it's a constrictor too, right? It's going to wrap it up super fast, and then
it's got 2 rows of teeth, top and bottom, and they're meant to trap. They latches on, and you're not getting out of it. They're like fish hooks. They're all recurved and bent backwards, and it holds on. It doesn't have a strong bite, but it doesn't need a strong bite at all. It just gets on you, and then it wraps its body around you, which is solid muscle.
So if this were to happen, like within a very short amount of time, all the air in whatever's lungs would be squeezed out of it. They're like, you're not going to hear your kids scream.
No. So as they would exhale, the snake's tightening down, and then you're not able to fill that void after it tightens down. So it just slowly squeezes all the air out of you, and then if you're like a person, it's not going to be able to.
Mike,
their prey like a rabbit or a rat, dude.
Earlier
it actually
today, you're
crushes.
talking about like you're going to the Amazon to hunt anacondas.
We still
and you're
are.
like,
We still
I'm
are.
gonna jump on.
This is the guy who's got my back.
I'm going to be in a bubble. But I did tell him, and I still will. James, I'm sure, can say that I'm good for it.
Yeah, that's true.
If shit goes wrong, I'm there for you, brother.
That's all I need.
I will jump on.
We'll
die together. But as long as things are going good, I'm staying back.
All right.
I'm going armed, like at least.
Yeah.
They're really not that bad, man. Especially if you're just comfortable with them and you know how to handle them.
I'm not, and I don't.
Nothing. We'll get you there.
Okay,
we'll get you there.
Yeah,
we'll have a little training session.
Here's my thing. Up till a day ago, I did not realize that a hound would even track a lizard. And I don't. Yeah, it's just nuts to me. Like, we're 2 totally different worlds using a hound to do 2 totally different jobs, but essentially we're doing the same thing, but literally across the map.
For sure. I've always been super fascinated with what you do too, and exactly like you said, I've never had it like in my mind. I pictured if I ever did it. I mean, I don't have lion dogs. You know, I'm assuming I'm going with somebody, but
come on down.
I wouldn't, dude. I don't even want to kill one. I just want to go for the ride, man.
I mean,
I have no
that's what
interest
it's
in killing
about.
one
I
at
mean,
all.
here's what I always tell somebody. I don't know how you could brag to me about shooting a mountain lion when I could give a 5-year-old a gun and they can shoot this cat out of the tree.
Sure. Now, I understand population
that's
control.
Not the hard part.
No, the hard part truly is training the dogs.
Yeah.
And mountain lions are a predator. They need managed. Don't get me wrong. They do need managed. We have quotas set, and those quotas get met. Mountain lions are one animal that you'll never get a count on. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, you're right.
All the local biologists, they call us the houndsmen. I mean, my local biologist, trust me, he calls me every year, and he says, is there too many cats being taken? Should we take more cats?
Well, you have a smart biologist, dude.
And that's because they can't count them. Yeah. You cannot count a mountain lion.
I can't imagine a harder job.
I have lived in the state of
Florida.
Yeah, I have lived in the state of Montana for my whole life, 32 years. I've seen a mountain lion in the wild twice without dogs. They say if you see one more than once, they're overpopulated.
We see them all the time in South Florida.
And that's because you guys can't run them.
Yeah.
It's the same problem.
They've got a lot of lions down there.
It's the same problem they're having in California now. They're getting to be so many of them. It's not like here when someone tells me I seen 4 adult mountain lions traveling together in a pride. I'm like, no, you seen a female with 3 subadults.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. These mountain lions, I have seen them have 4 babies. I've seen 2 different ones packing 4 kittens, which is absolutely usually unheard of.
Yeah.
It's usually 1 to 2 kittens. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's nuts to me that you don't control the population. Then you got these problems like California's having where they have so many lions. People have a game cam on a water tank, and they'll have 7 or 8 lions drinking out of the thing at one time.
Yep.
Now, it's only a matter of time before they come in contact with humans and someone gets ate. And lions are not out here hunting humans. A lot of guys, when they leave their truck to go hunting in the fall, there's a fresh snow. They take off down the trail. They go up. They do their little hike. They come back down. They hit their trail again. They look down. There's mountain lion tracks in them. They swear.
They're like, it was stalking me.
It was stalking me.
It was on top of my tracks on a trail.
A mountain lion is no different than a human. And I don't know many humans that will not walk down a beaten trail when there's 2.5 feet of snow right off of it. A mountain lion's looking for the path of least resistance, and he's going to jump right in your feet, and he's going to follow until he wants to wander off and go hunting. Cats only think 3 things, whether you're trapping, whatever. They want to know, can I eat it? Can I play with it? Or can I have sex with it? Mm-hmm. That's the only 3 things a cat will think. And if you're trying to trap a cat, they're one of the easiest things to trap if you know how to read the signs. It's like trapping a mouse. I mean, it's almost like trapping a mouse, I would say. If you know where they live, what they're going to do, and how they act. Can I eat it? Can I play with it? Can I have sex with it? If you can satisfy one of those 3 needs, you'll catch them every time.
Yeah. How do you use dogs in your life, Brian?
We run bobcats, and I have some buddies that, they get handling permits in Idaho, so we get to actually go do some stuff in Idaho too. So, but I've grown up, as you know, being an Oregonian, we're not fortunate anymore to run lions and bears like we used to, and we actually see a bad population issue, which in my opinion, the lions in the last 3 or 4 years have declined a tremendous amount. I don't know if it's the increasing wolf population or they possibly got disease or what. I would say the wolves have played a big part in it.
I would say wolves definitely probably do. And then another thing is when you do not manage an animal, they become overpopulated and they become diseased. And that's for sure.
That's exactly what happens. 100%. You see rabbits, coyotes, everything kind of go through cycles like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know what diseases hit cats. I really don't. But my world is much like Jake's, I would say. Primarily bobcat hunting for me. We could do coons, and I mean, when I first got into hound hunting when I was young, we'd go every night chasing coons and just anything we could put in a tree and listen to our dogs work and stuff like that. But about the same as Jake.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You spend your whole life yelling at your dog to shut up when he's out there barking. But I tell you what, you never see a bigger smile on my face when I turn them suckers loose and they're blowing my eardrums out. It's incredible.
We're still yelling at them when we're feeding them and they're barking.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. I definitely encourage anybody out there that's listening. If it's something you're interested in, reach out to a local houndsman. The last thing you want to do is call the guy up and say, "Hey, I want to kill a mountain lion." Call him up, just ask him, "I want to know what it's about." Most mountain lion hunters will gladly throw you in their truck and show you what it's all about.
Yeah, just tell them you want to watch the dogs work. It's fascinating. It truly is, sure. and you're going to have a whole new respect for it because it is exhausting. It's a challenge. It's many things.
It's nothing like you see it or perceive it as. Yes. Yeah, I mean it's totally different. And when you get out there and you watch a houndsman work with his dogs and you watch them dogs work, to me it was life changing. How
do you know when to step in and help your dogs out?
As far as
like just figuring out a problem, if your dogs just start spinning around and they'll track up a half acre. And, they're all running in different directions with their noses down. And one of them, starts chewing on a stick or whatever. Like, when are you going to step in and try and figure it out for them?
So I will always try to let my dogs figure it out for themselves. If they get up there, and that's a great part about my dogs is they know that even though they can't figure it out, they can work on that for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And no matter what, they know I'm going to come to them. And then right when I get to them, the first thing I do is do a bigger circle than they've done. So the main thing you're trying to do is box in this cat. So if you go to the edge of the dog tracks and do a huge circle around it and find that cat didn't leave, it's in a tree right there. The dogs just ain't able to locate which one it is. A lot of times you'll have like a bobcat. He'll work along a rock ledge. He'll jump off of that rock ledge down below the rocks, and he'll take off. So you'll have a lot of young dogs come up to that rock ledge, and they'll start treeing. An older dog will get up to that rock ledge, tree for a second, look around, smell, realize he isn't getting no fresh scent, and they'll just start looping. And it's crazy. You can't really train them to do it. They either got it or they don't.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, I mean, I've got certain dogs that they'll go to a cliff, and they won't even tree. They'll just get to that cliff, and he'll just run a huge loop around the top, and gone he goes. And once he gets up to that other track at the top side of the rocks, he'll blow up, and that'll tell the other dogs that, hey, there's a cat on the other side of this. You need to get your butt around here. And all those other dogs, we usually honor them.
Yeah.
Because they've been worked so much as a team, they kind of figured out that, he's taking off. I better get up there. Otherwise, I'm getting left.
Yeah. Do you have other dogs, Mike? Besides Otto and Moose?
Yeah, I have 15 right now.
You have 15 dogs?
Yep.
So what do the other 13 do?
Hog dogs.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why I want to ask you, have you ever been catching hogs with dogs?
Never ran
Dude,
a hog.
You
That's
would
fun.
love it.
Matter
It's like cat hunting, but a lot more.
I've never seen a hog in the wild.
Okay. Well, dude, you gotta come down to Florida, catch some hogs with me, and then I want you to take me catch them.
Oh, dude, I would gladly take you up
Cool.
here. I mean, it's my drug.
We've got a pretty interesting group of guys out here. So we're in just outside Bozeman right now at the 6-hour Elite Hunter Training Forum. You guys are the second group of dudes to come out. And isn't it amazing that we can have people who are professionals having these conversations, right? Such different worlds, and yet so similar.
Here's my biggest deal. I've been trying to pursue these different companies. As I said in the beginning, I grew up as a nobody. They throw me on national TV, and all of a sudden, everybody thinks I'm a somebody. Fact of the matter is, I'm the same guy I was before I stepped on that screen, and I'll be the same guy after I leave that screen. To have Sig Sauer reach out to us means so much.
It's crazy.
I can't even describe what it means to have a company tell you they believe in you, let you test out products, whether they want the positives, they want the negatives more than they want the positives.
Absolutely.
They respect your opinion.
And when a company tells me, here's my product, it's great, advertise for me. That's not how I was bred. If you give me a product and your product sucks, I'm going to tell you your product sucks. And when the guy next to me asks me, I'm going to tell him. I've just been bred that way. I mean, I'm honest. I was always told if you look a man in the eye and shake his hand, you don't lie, you never have to backtrack, you never have to remember your story. 6 Hour bringing us out here, totally different worlds. He's chasing lizards, I'm chasing lions. I ain't even seen half these lizards he's talking about other than on TV. So it's mind-blowing and fascinating. I cannot thank 6 Hour.
For sure. And it's such an honor, dude. A company I know personally I've always looked up to as such a high standard and dude, I just started social media a few years ago and never in my life would I think I'd be up here in Montana in the mountains at Sig Sauer,
Yep.
Ever. Or working, on TV or anything like that.
How I got on Instagram, literally, I was talking to my little sister, and I said, man, I cannot believe all the BS you see on Facebook. When I scroll down that thing, I got to scroll for a minute and a half before I see, one of my buddy's true posts, to where it's about him, his hunting experience. Yeah. And she's like, you need to go to Instagram. And I'm like, what the heck's Instagram? She's like, you put a picture, a description, it's not your life story.
Yeah.
And I was like, I actually,
it's a little better.
I might use that, and she set it up for me, and it's totally been a game changer for me. Social media can definitely, I guess what people need to realize out there is even though you got 5,000 followers or 20,000 followers, my dad always told me one thing, you can count your true friends on one hand.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those guys that I'm lucky that I could fill up definitely more than one hand. But for the average guy, you're only going to have 5 people in your life that you can trust and rely on 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, no matter if you're breaking the law or whatnot. You can call them and count on them.
Nowadays that's a real rare thing for sure.
It is very rare.
Agreed.
For sure.
And I mean, I walk into this room and I look to my left, I look to my right, and these guys are all totally different, but we're like-minded. We have common goals.
Mm-hmm. Common values.
Values.
Absolutely. I definitely feel like we're alike people here.
Y'all chose it.
It's been relieving, really. It truly has been relieving for me. I was pretty paranoid. I was like, oh, man, I don't know how this is going to be. It's been great.
And that's how I was.
Yeah.
I'm probably, there's only 2 guys from Montana here.
Yeah.
There's 2 guys from Montana here, and I get a call from Peter at 4:30 saying, where you at? And I'm at work. And he says, well, dinner's at 6 o'clock. I said, oh, man, I'm not going to make it till 7. He says, well, we're going to wait for you. And I'm like, Peter, I'm out of my league here.
It's a lot of pressure.
Don't make him hold dinner for me. I'm already nervous as heck. And when you walk in the door, you're a team. I didn't know any of these guys, and I feel like these guys are on my team.
Yeah,
I really do.
Sure.
It's pretty cool.
It's a neat thing.
It's funny
about
you say that because this whole time I've been like, dude, I'm out of my league. Like, what am I doing?
And the
here?
first thing I do is I scan across the room with my Instagram story. And I got like 10 people right off the bat. They're like, you're with the Python Cowboy. Oh, my God.
I was just going to say, lucky for me, the Python Cowboy is my team.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, you guys are going down.
Oh, we'll see.
You might eat those words.
I know. It'll taste like vinegar, but I've ate a lot of words.
Yeah.
There was a remarkable lack of trash talk today. I was kind of surprised. I think everybody was kind of feeling it out. By the end of the day, everybody was shooting good. Like, everybody was shooting really good out to 400.
6 hour, baby.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We've got some tough challenges for you tomorrow for sure. We're going to continue clicking up those challenges as you go. It'll be interesting to see how you guys are able to work as a team and how you can continue to learn from each other.
Oh, if we can catch 18-foot pythons, we can do anything.
Anything.
With good equipment, great instructors, game on.
Yes,
Game on, that's
There
for
are
sure.
some good instructors here.
Yeah.
Daniel's incredible, isn't he?
Yeah, oh my God, yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. You walk into a store, you walk into this room full of guys, and you look around and you think, of all the guys in here, I think that's the guy I can mug.
You're right.
And let me tell you,
That is the last
if
guy.
you make a mistake of trying to mess with old Daniel, you're going to get the old pistol.
Sure.
My God, that guy
But he's
is
also so
something
nice. He'd be
else.
like, "Oh man, you need some money?"
Yeah, you
Yeah.
need some cash,
Go.
bro, here.
I mean, yeah, what a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to have like a legend, literally a legend,
Yeah.
giving us instructions, and the guy's as humble as it gets. Quiet.
Very humble.
Yeah.
Well, you
Very,
too,
very
man.
humble.
I mean, you all have
Same with James Nash.
very
2-time Purple Heart
Purple
recipient.
Heart, dude. I was like, what?
Honored.
You know, that's really, I appreciate that. It just means that I suck at ducking, kind of.
no. Now that means you are there for your brothers, is what
Yeah.
that means to me. I'm not an
Yeah.
Army guy, not a Navy guy, not any sort of military.
Mm-hmm.
But anybody who has a Purple Heart has my respect, hands down.
Absolutely.
Anybody who serves in the military
Yeah,
has,
that's what
Amen.
I was going to say.
I
You
mean-
know, they've dedicated time out of their life for me.
for me.
Bottom
And
line, for me.
what sucks is there's a lot of people out there that don't realize the sacrifices that you guys have given
Yep.
to make us be able to walk around and talk trash.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to me.
Yeah, it really is.
So thank you to all you
thank you.
veterans
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there are some incredible veterans in this country. There really are. And, you know, we're fortunate in this company to work with a lot of really amazing ones. A lot of really amazing
I was
ones.
pretty sad I didn't get to meet old Bam. I've been following him forever.
Yeah, me too,
man.
man.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to meeting that guy. He's a character.
You know, he's one of my best friends. He's a super good guy, huge personality. It's not for everybody, but he always puts a smile on my face. And you talk about somebody that's going to have your back no matter what. And the thing is, he could hate you. And you could call him and be like, I need some help. And he's like, there. And that I truly believe that with anybody. He's just a really incredible guy. Eli Crane, that was out here last week, Navy SEAL sniper, as humble as can be, an incredible entrepreneur, right? He took a really simple concept, went and he worked really hard. He got on Shark Tank, built this huge business, and now he's an entrepreneur and a philanthropist on top of that. Just as humble as can be. And man, can that guy run a gun. Yeah. So fun. And Brian, dude, it's almost painful how humble you are. Like,
I don't think so.
I
think everybody here is really humble. But
you take this incredibly difficult task of elk hunting, which is just hard enough on its own. So, 1 in 10 guys that hunts elk will kill an elk in a given year. That's really low odds to start with. That's an elk. And then you're going out on public land and you're finding the biggest bulls in the country year after year after year. And it's not because I'm going to say it's not because you're lucky. It's not even because you're good. It's because you work your guts out year round and you hire good people and you pay them well and you care more than anybody I know.
A team of people, and you got to take pride in what you're doing.
Amen.
I mean,
that's what I grew up. When you're doing something, you do it. So,
yeah, for sure.
So how?
And I appreciate that, James. I really do.
Well, let's say somebody's in Utah or Arizona or any state besides Oregon, for the love of God, and you want to offer them some advice for how to do what you do. They're probably not going to want to hear the advice that you're about to give, but what would you tell them?
I don't know. It's just hard work. So a buddy of mine recently, and I would probably mess the quote up, but he said, and we were thinking about putting it on a T-shirt, but he said, the desire to kill must be greater, the pain endured in which to do so. So you have to be so passionate and so driven by what your end goal is that nothing else matters. Lack of sleep, pain, whatever you have to do to achieve that. And you can break that down as a hunter. I mean, it's scouting. It's so many different things, right? I mean, from being able to shoot well, all of it. It's from getting yourself in shape. I mean, it's not hunting and
it's everything.
It's a whole picture of things that people overlook. We have a lot of hunters that they come to you, they're out of shape, they can't find an animal in their scope, they can't shoot. It's
your life.
I think to actually achieve your goal as a hunter, if you have a goal in mind, and that is harvesting a trophy animal, I think it's more than stumbling onto an animal and harvesting that. There is a lot more into it, and I think that you just have to work hard at every aspect of it. But the biggest thing is you have to actually desire that, because we'll leave 380 bull on the mountain because the guy said, no, I don't want to go down there.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. Why? He didn't desire it.
Yeah, he didn't want it bad enough.
Yeah, he didn't want to do it. He didn't. If that was standing on the road, damn right. Hell yeah, I want to. But you have to desire it.
So before you were a professional outfitter, you really distinguished yourself in two fields that are extremely difficult. One of those being wrestling, and the other being rodeo. How do you feel like wrestling and rodeo contributed to who you are now and how you find success as an outfitter and as a hunter?
I think wrestling is just a great sport, if you will, that builds a good human. It teaches you how to work. It teaches you responsibility. It just builds good human beings. And I'm actually toying around. I do some coaching now, and that's when my wrestlers are having trouble. I get them to the side and I say, this isn't about winning a match. This isn't about wrestling your opponent. This is about life, man. You're taking these skills, you're taking these things, and you're becoming a productive human being, and you're learning how to control your emotions. You're learning how to control your temper. You're learning all of these things to be a good human being, you know. It also makes you very strong-minded. You know, when you're hiking in a canyon, I bet Jake and all of us can probably say we've been in a situation where if we would have been weak-minded people, we would have died.
Oh, yeah.
We would have died. Literally last week, I called my wife and I said, I understand why people die. I said, I got so exhausted, so cold, so tired from pogoing through snow to my hips, swimming out of it. You know, you go 30 yards trying to swim on your hands and knees and just stay afloat through this rotten snow. A lot of people would have quit and just laid there, got hypothermic, and died. I mean, in that, I'm not exaggerating, you know, but I've been in that position several times. In the hound world, I think we put ourselves, because,
especially with dogs,
like he said, we're not leaving those dogs. Yeah. We turn them out, we're getting to them, and we're getting out.
And you don't get to choose where they go.
No.
You do not get to choose where they go 100%.
So.
And I think, like you were saying, in the sports, going through high school, I would say the best lessons I ever learned were on the football field. You learn how to win, you learn how to lose, and you learn how to accept either one of those. And in life, I feel like those are some of like the strongest lessons. As you're saying, if someone wants to get out there and pursue an elk and you have no idea about this, as I said back in the beginning of this, pack up. There is so many millions of people out there, like-minded, in Florida, chasing lizards. I can call this guy up now and we can go chase hogs.
Hell yeah.
I mean, you can hashtag elk hunting. You will find 5 million views in there. There's someone in there that would love to have a hunting partner. I guarantee it. Yeah. I wouldn't do half the hunts I do without my two hunting partners. Both Heath and Joe. Heath's the brains, Joe's been the muscles. And I mean, as a team, we're just a deadly.
It's awesome when you find a good team like that.
Yeah. And there's so many people out there that want to do what you want to do, whether it be hunting, whether it be fishing, whether it be playing basketball.
It's just a motivator, basically. Yeah, it motivates you into
being a better person.
Into pursuing what you really want. But when you're left alone to pursue it, sometimes you need a little bit of a push on that. But I think that, you know, my mindset come a lot from wrestling, and then rodeo. Just, you know, rodeo was great, but it probably just taught me how to like get really beat up and live through it more than anything. Like,
that's a real thing, though.
Last year I actually, this might be a little bit off the subject, and I don't even like to share this story, but a buddy of mine, we went in the mountains where we pogoed through snow all day to about 1 o'clock. We were in 9 miles. Fall off the log, and actually at your brother's memorial one year I lacerated my liver. I did a lot of stuff that year. I lacerated my liver, punctured a bowel, broke a bunch of ribs, collapsed lungs. In the hospital for a couple weeks. Fall off the log. I mean, simple. We fall off the log. I step up on a log, my foot slips, and I'm just going to step backwards, right? There's about a 6-8 foot bank below me. I went that way. And I landed on just about a 4-inch pitch stump is what it was. Just kind of a stop. It hit me just right on my liver. You know, your liver is just a ball of jello. You can just get punched and it lacerates, right? Lacerated my liver. My buddy, I can't breathe. I can't do anything. Adrenaline scrambles me up. I lay on the ground. He gets over there. He says, dude, are you all right? And I can't talk. And, you know, I said, no. I said I lacerated my liver. He goes, what do you mean?
You knew what happened.
Oh, immediately. If you've ever had a lacerated liver or you're a paramedic, you've probably been around people, James.
Sure.
You're sick. I recognized all of the symptoms that I had before.
Wow.
I said I lacerated my liver.
He's like, what?
Being an idiot, nothing's going to happen. I leave my Garmin inReach at camp. We don't have service. We're in a burn. You can't get in there with a helicopter to start with. I lay there. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. Finally, he gets me to my feet. I said, I'm just going to hike to the top and call. I knew we had service at camp, so I have to hike the opposite direction of our snowmobiles. We rode in 36 miles on snowmobiles. We're in there about 9 miles where we are right now. We have to cross a river, mind you, to get back. I hike up. First thing I do is FaceTime my family because I'm like, I know I'm hurt, and you don't know. By the time I got to the top, I got moving, I actually felt better, and I thought, well, I'm not going to bleed to death probably, but I'm really lightheaded. I'm sick. You're just sick. When you lacerate your liver, you're just sick to your stomach. So I FaceTime because I want to see my little boy and tell her what happened. I said, call the doctor and tell him, how I'm feeling. And she said, well, you call him. So I call, and they said, well, you need to call your primary. I call the hospital. Mm-hmm. I said, I just fell down. I lacerated my liver. What are the symptoms to where this is something that I need to get Life Flight to come get me, or do you think I can make it out of here? And hospitals being hospitals, she says, well, sir, you're going to have to call your primary doctor.
Oh, my God.
I said, I don't have a primary doctor. She said, well, call the 4th Street Clinic and ask the doctor what to do.
Dude.
So I did. I call the clinic, and the clinic starts asking me the same questions, puts me on hold. Finally, I hang up. I call my wife back. I said, we're not doing that. I'm not talking to them. So she gets upset because she knows that when I said I'm hurt, rodeo, just taught me, a lot about that.
Your body.
Your scale of I'm hurt is different from most people's scales.
Yeah. And I had a nurse when I finally got to the hospital. Long story short, I guess where I was going with that is just rodeo probably helped me in situations like that, or like just being strong-minded, and we get to the top, and I talked to Life Flight. I actually called them, and they said, honestly, we're going to have to probably long line you out of there if we come get you. So we'll have to get National Guard, but National Guard's going to have to get there before dark, this, that, and the other. And I said, you know what, you guys just chill. I'm going to walk out of here. So we walk out of there. It was not really that big a deal, but I get to the hospital, and I got a buddy in there. He's a good friend of mine, also a wrestling coach. He goes, what are you doing here? I said, I lacerated my liver. He goes, I believe you. He goes, I could look at a lot of people today, and I guarantee if you said that, you did it. So, I lay in the hospital bed for 6 days.
Wow.
It's miserable.
That could have been worse. Wow. That could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
How far did you have to hike out?
About 9 miles. Yeah. And then we rode snowmobiles 36 miles.
Wow.
And it was actually so...
If you were an elk, I would have found you in a mile.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but they don't know. Like we talked about today in our trainings, an elk, they don't know that they're dying or whatever. Yeah, they get sick, so they lay down. Yeah. Our mind's working. Our mind's like, okay, you're hurt, dude. Your liver's lacerated.
Get help.
But you need to get out of there. And the worst thing, I would never, ever, if you ever think that your liver's lacerated, call Life Flight and get out, because I was actually bleeding internally. I had a lot of blood pooled in my body. It was absolutely miserable to urinate for about a week because that blood, your bladder swells up. That blood kind of does something in there, and it not like when I was urinating, but just in your guts, your bladder. It was miserable. And you can die. I was an idiot. But I'm an idiot. Everybody that knows me knows that. So you just have to.
If you're going to be dumb, you better be tough.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to be stupid, you better be tough. Yeah. So,
one of the best quotes that I've ever was told in a high-stretch situation was told to me by a guy named Jordan Harmon and Jason George, and they said, in a high-stretch situation, there's two kinds of people. There's people who take charge, and there's people who take orders. Doesn't matter which one you are as long as you know the difference.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. When you get into bad situations, you either know how to handle it or you got to look to the next guy over.
Know who you are.
And you better hope that he knows how to take control, because the last thing you want to do is get yourself into a bad situation where you have no control over it.
Yeah, you got to stay clear-minded when you're out there. You really do.
I don't do super well in like calm and peaceful environments. That's a little bit overwhelming and unsettling to me. It's not stimulating. I tend to get lazy, and I need that struggle, and I need that challenge. When things absolutely get chaotic, get violent, start to fall apart, I feel this like sense of
The
calm
world
come over me.
slows.
Come hog
That's
hunting
like-
with me, son.
Hog hunting's
You'll be
fun,
calm.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
I appreciate
crazy.
it.
But I think probably rodeo, actually, telling that story and stuff, and like you said, staying calm-minded. I mean, what is more, your mind racing than riding bulls? You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
So when you're put in a situation where something like that's going on, I was never as jacked as you just were 90 points and jumped off, or even just taking your app.
Yeah.
I have very dear friends that died. you
Sure.
know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all. I think a lot of that stuff plays into, our successes, what we do.
Rodeo cowboys are interesting creatures, and I really don't consider myself to be one, even though I rodeoed for a long time. But when I was at the John Day High School rodeo, when I was a senior in high school, I went off over the front of this bareback horse, and I landed right on the back of my head, but going forward. And one of the ligaments that attached to a spinal process that came off like C4 or C3 somewhere in there, one of the important ones, it tore a chunk of the bone off. So it was a broken neck, but it wasn't like a super broken neck. And I hurt bad, like real bad. But I got up and I walked out of the arena, because being in a rodeo family and rodeoing my whole life, it's like, no matter what, if you can walk out of the arena, you walk out of the arena. You can crawl on a stretcher right there, on the other side of the fence, and you can get on the get in the ambulance and go. But if you can walk out, you walk out. And I've always had such admiration for people who can perform when they're hurt. You occasionally see a football player that, breaks something, and he's like gets off the field before they have to call a timeout. Or you guys remember that gymnast with a busted ankle in the Olympics? They show her all the time, and she did a cajillion flips in the air and landed on her busted leg and won gold for the U.S. Olympic team. Like, stuff like that just gets me every single time.
Yeah.
It's like a Hallmark commercial, and 30 seconds into it, I'm getting weepy, because I love seeing people overcome that. And it's not any different with dogs or other animals or whatever. Like, when you see that real sure enough challenge, and that's the test that either makes or breaks, and that creature, whatever it is, overcomes it, like that. Yeah. That is a feeling like nothing else in the world.
It's personalities, and animals have personalities.
Oh, yeah.
And it's crazy what the human body, or any animal for that being said, can take. The amount of pain that you can put your body through, breaking. If you have a strong enough willpower and mind power, it's like Daniel said, he's seen 6 people shoot themselves, and every one of them walked over to the ambulance. Like, that's pretty nuts to me. I'm not going to lie. I find that to be very nuts. Like, most people stub their toe and they sit down and they start crying over it. And it's like,
well, the right kind of toe stubbing is a little
painful.
bit
It is.
Yeah.
I will give
It's
you that.
painful. It's definitely painful.
I mean, I can't say I've shot myself with a gun. Thank God. I hope I never do.
Biting the inside of your cheek, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real pain.
I've never
Getting stung by bees.
Nothing to do
with that.
That's no fun either. I really don't want to even talk about it on here, but I will anyway. So I got shot in the leg by a buddy, and honestly, I didn't even know it was shot. It didn't hit a bone, so maybe those guys got their bones hit. I'm not sure, but
I think they're just trying to draw fast and burning one down their leg.
Didn't even know I was shot. He goes, "Oh, shot you." No, you didn't.
I shot you.
Look down, my leg's covered in blood. I'm like, you shot me.
You shot me.
But so I can completely believe that 6 guys walked to the ambulance, because
I've actually heard that a lot. I don't know if it's the adrenaline or what, especially like in and out.
I don't know. I mean, it's really painful after.
I'll
tell you that much.
I guess that's why they say when you hit an elk, the next one anchor down and hit bone.
Yeah. Honestly, I guarantee there's a lot of animals that die that never knew they were dead.
Yep. Oh,
they
for sure.
did not. I mean, they don't even know it hit them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Shock.
If this is bullet the way it sears through, I don't know. No.
Well, so there's a universal decision-making cycle called the OODA loop, OODA, and it's observe, orient, decide, and act. And this was invented by a fighter pilot. And this is how all humans, and I'm pretty sure animals, go through their lives of making decisions. So they observe a situation, they orient on that situation, depending on their previous life experience and what's going on at the time. And if they can orient on what they've observed, then they make a decision. And if they can make a decision, then they act upon that decision. And then that changes the situation, and the cycle starts all over again. So that's why it's called the loop. If something happens that you're not able to orient on, then you can never get to the decision in the action phase, and that observation never really sinks into your mind. So we can see things that we can't orient on, and it just never makes it into our mind. Like, we don't have the cognitive ability to process something that we can't see. When Cortez and his men marched north from Mexico and hit the Grand Canyon, they didn't even write about it in their diaries. They said that they came to the edge of the world and it was an abyss, and they turned around. Like, they couldn't orient on the depth of that canyon because they'd never seen anything like it in their lives. They just thought that was the edge of the world.
Mm.
And we are not aware of all the things in our lives that we encounter that are like that. Mm-hmm. So if something happens immediately like that, then our decision-making cycle, our OODA loop cycle, is disrupted, and we don't know how to behave with it. So, for you, it's like, you might not have heard the sound, you might not have felt it because you had no way to orient on what had just happened.
Yeah. I just thought he missed. It went by me. Is what actually happened. It was a safety malfunction. He just hit the safety. The gun goes off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And, every single time you take it off safety, boom, gun would go off.
Wow.
Never point a weapon at anything you do not intend to shoot.
And to this very day, I can still remember his dad said that's because of safety is a mechanical device that can and will fail.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I really love about these pistols that don't even have them.
Yeah, because you're not relying on them.
Yeah. So I like having a safety.
No.
I love having a safety, but I do agree with you there. You should never rely on it. You know what I mean? And if it doesn't have one in your conscience, you're like, this gun doesn't have a safety. You're going to be more cautious with it, possibly.
Well, the fact of the matter is your car has a seat belt and you can still die in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a safety mechanism and it helps to keep you safe, but it does not make it safe, period.
Yeah. Sometimes
I don't feel comfortable having one in the chamber if it don't have a safety. Yeah. It just fucking makes me nervous. Dude.
I love it.
If I'm alone,
that's how I live my life.
I gotta have one in the chamber. Yeah, I mean, I feel like a pussy if I don't.
If I'm alone, I'm good. But like I told somebody out there today, it's like there's so many people and guns, and I'm thinking
you feel weird,
almost a little bit paranoid. Like, gosh, I hope all these guys are safe.
Don't step in front of me.
Which I know they are. Yeah. I really do.
And we're all watching each other, and
you guys are all military background and just absolute professionals anyway. So. You guys were very aware. I had an empty gun today, and I had left the bolt down. It was I kept trying to put it on safety, and it wasn't going on safety. So I thought, well, I just can't put it on safety because it was empty. Mm-hmm. And Chris come by and said, "Hey, man, make sure your gun's clear. At least pull the bolt back or do what you got to do."
Sure.
So we don't know, and he's seen it immediately. You know, and I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah, this is a very safe.
Absolutely, very, very. Very safe.
So my goal for you guys is, to learn, to have fun, but beyond all that, we just got to be safe. Like,
for sure.
Safety comes first, and then everything else comes in line. So if you're learning and you're having fun while you're doing it, then it's a good experience, and you can actually retain those lessons and build off of them. And, we talked about it before, but we're going to keep doing these trainings, and we're going to hit a higher level each time. And it's not just you guys that are learning. Like, I would be amazed if any one of you is learning more from this course from being here than I'm learning from teaching it.
Watching.
Yeah. I learned so much out here by teaching this stuff and by observing you guys and answering your questions and then thinking about those questions. So, I'm getting a huge benefit from this, and I hope that you're getting, half as much as what I'm getting from it.
Oh, man, it's been incredible for me because I don't have the knowledge that some of these folks do, and it's been incredible.
Yeah, it's definitely been an information overload for sure.
And I think it's really cool that we have people from all walks of the world here, Lizard Man, Cat Man.
Lizard Man.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on, let's not make that stick now.
You know what I'm saying?
It's almost as bad as Snake
But I'm
Boy.
learning. But you're actually learning all kinds of different stuff, not from you folks, but from everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we're learning all kinds of little things.
Well, for me,
from
it's
each
like
other.
a totally, dude, I don't shoot long distance. I don't, shoot with a pistol and all that. So for me, it's like
we're just learning
great stuff.
tons. I mean, about hunting, about firearms, about optics. It's just
This lodge is incredible. The food's mind-blowing.
Everything's been awesome. I mean, I've had a great time.
Montana's a horrible place. Don't move here.
Yeah.
Dude, it's funny, man. I have been so adamant with my girlfriend. I never want to move out of Florida. There's nothing. Florida's got it all for me, dude. As soon as I got up here, I was like, damn, I could live out in the mountains, dude. This is unreal.
Come back in February.
When it's
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is I guess, a lot of people come out here in spring and summertime, and it is beautiful and enjoyable. But when you come out here in the dead of winter, it can be balls cold. 56 below is brutal. Not fun to be calving cows in.
Yeah, I bet.
That's brutal.
I mean, it's really not. So definitely
stay in Florida.
If you do come, well,
I just want you to stay down there so I can come shoot an iguana.
Come on.
Yeah.
I'm going to come catch a huge snake, probably a new state record. You're going to be like, man, he did it.
Yeah.
A little envious.
17-8, he'll be cutting a little bit of the tail off.
He'll be like, dude.
not quite.
Yeah.
Well, boys, this has been fun. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you taking time out of your lives to come out here to this event. It's just great having new friends, and Brian and I grew up together, but don't live that far apart. We never get to see each other.
I know. I was cussing you today.
We're always in the woods,
Yeah, I was telling Kyle. I said, yeah, he's in trouble now. I said, we're out here doing this stuff he knows everything about, and we live half hour apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've met a guy from Twin Bridges, population I think less than 250 people. I met a guy from my town here.
Yeah.
Never met him before.
Yeah.
That tells you how much I'm in the woods and how much I'm in town. I think I've maybe seen him in the store once.
And that's the thing with these hunting events and shows and stuff. Like, hunters are in the woods, either with their clients or alone the entire year, unless it's for a show or an event.
Yep.
So that's the only time we see each other. And there are no shows this year.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't get to see any of my boys. And, now that we're getting to have a couple of these events, we finally get this community back together. And, this type of thing, which, has never been done before by anybody, is really cool because not only do we get to hang out, but we also get to leverage off of each other to come away from it with all of us being better.
Yeah, it's great.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, big thanks to you guys, man.
Yeah, huge thanks. I mean, I'm like him. I'm beside myself that I'm even here, and I don't know if it's humble or what. James believes in me a lot. I really, really, truly appreciate that, and he's kind of sold me to these guys, and it's just it's really, I don't know.
Yeah.
Really excited to be
one
here.
thing I will say from the TV standpoint even is it's just crazy to be giving such an opportunity. It's unbelievable,
for sure.
man.
It's very rewarding for sure. I mean, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody out there supporting SIG, supporting us hunting.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like hunting, if you got questions, look us up, ask. We ain't afraid to
for sure.
answer questions.
So if you look in the show notes down here, you can find links to get a hold of all these guys, and I hope that you do because they're wonderful resources, and I appreciate all you guys for listening. And you gentlemen, we've got a good day of shooting tomorrow. You need to get some rest so that you can be fast and accurate, and we're going to get after it.
One last thing I would say out there, even though you might not be at this SIG event, you might not be on the History Channel, none of us here sitting at this table thought we would be here. I never thought I'd be on the History Channel. Dream big and never take no for an answer.
That's awesome, dude. And you're 100% right for sure. Follow your passion.
Yeah. Yep. You follow your heart, you'll definitely never work a day in your life.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
that's the truth.
Absolutely.
It might work, but you'll love it.
Well, thanks, guys. Catch y'all next time.
This episode is brought to you by Stanley. It's that iconic hammer-tone green thermos that women filled with soup while they were building B-17s, and men used to carry coffee when they flew those bombers into combat. It's that faded stainless steel bottle that's seen more trees felled and calves branded and barbed wire stretched than any living man. 6 generations of Americans have been using Stanley to keep their coffee hot and their beer cold. They have a 100% leak-proof lifetime guarantee, and now it's not just the old green thermos. They have camp cookware, drinkware for that evening scotch, coolers, and some sweet titanium bottles that are light enough you'll throw one in your pack when you go hunting. I love a company that lasts by making gear that lasts. And if you're anything like me, you will also appreciate gear that's more likely to end up in your will than a landfill. Check it out over at Stanley1913.com. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share the show with a friend. You can also rate the podcast and leave a review. Your support allows me to keep doing what I love, which is meeting incredible folks and sharing their stories with you. For more content and photos, follow the show on Instagram at 6 Ranch Podcast or me at 6 Ranch Outfitters. This episode was produced by Emily Brannigan, with original music written and performed by Justin Hay. Art for the 6 Ranch Podcast was created by John Chatelain and digitized by Celia Christofferson. Tune in every Monday for a brand new episode of the 6 Ranch Podcast. I'll catch you next week.